Hello, everyone. It's Mega Champ again, and welcome back to the finale. Yes, it's true, it's finally coming to an end. Or is it? I'm just kidding, it is. Sort of. I mean, it basically is. To Mega's End of the Year Awards. We've gone over a lot so far. Anime, video games, special awards for both, Anime of the Year, my personal list at least. It's time for the final list, the overall list, the final list for my personal game of the year for 2022. Remember, it's the games that I personally played in the year, so I don't care what or when the games actually came out, what year they came out. All that really matters to me is that I played them this year, so they're viable for final lists, special awards, so on and so forth. Just as a quick recap of the games that I played this year, along with the system that they are on, or at least the system that I played them on, after which, these are once again the games that I played this year. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on Switch, Final Fantasy VII Remake DLC Intergrade on PS5, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and the DLC on Switch, Octopath Traveler on Switch, yeah, no chance there, sorry, Chocobo GP on Switch, Tales of Symphonia Chronicles, so both Tales of Symphonia and Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World, but I combined it into one because they're both on, Tales of Symphonia Chronicles on PS3, Gravity Rush Remastered on PS4, Gravity Rush 2 on PS4, Fall Guys on Switch with it being an ongoing game, Tales of Grace's F on the PS3, Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time on the PS4, Tales of the Abyss on the 3DS, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 on the PS4, and finally, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4 on the PS4, which is still ongoing. I still haven't beaten it yet. I'm in the finale. I still have no idea how close I am to the end, but that's all I got to say about that. That's not really important right now. It's time for the final list. Like I said at the start, just like I did with part 2 of Anime of the Year for this year, it's going to be pretty much a list of 4, or a list of 3 if you want to be technical, with a pretty much de facto number 4. Overall special mention and the final 3. So since I love to ramble apparently, ha 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 ha, let's get started with the overall special mention, de facto number 4 for me for this year. So, de facto number 4, the overall special mention for me goes to Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. To be completely honest with you, I don't actually have a lot to say about this game. It's good, obviously, and in most other cases, for a lot of other people, the first Xenoblade Chronicles game would probably be their game of the year. And I'm not saying, it's bad in any stretch of the meaning, obviously. I mean, it wouldn't be getting my overall special mention if it wasn't like that. But to be completely honest with you, I don't really know what I can say about the main story without sounding, a little too negative. Because it's not like I hated it or didn't like it, because obviously Xenoblade Chronicles is a fantastic game that is easily anyone else's, I guess, except for me, apparently, game of the year. But I don't know. I guess I just kind of feel like the overall story, or at least the overall theme of Xenoblade Chronicles, is kind of something that's been done a little too much, or at least I feel like I've seen it more times than I care to try to count for, and that's where, evil robots are, effectively treating humans as slaves, or treating them as if they are superior to humans, and the humans have to fight back, basically. It did kind of feel Terminator like for me personally, and again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, okay? I'm not. But that's just how it personally felt to me, and I do kind of feel like it's something I've seen in other games and other franchises more times than I care to count. So, it is what it is. Obviously, there was a bit of uniqueness to it with the whole, Monado situation being the only thing that could effectively fight back against it, and a new, younger character becoming the new wielder of it, pretty much. Shulk, obviously. But I guess for me personally, and even I don't know why, I mean, trust me, I wish I knew myself. It all comes down to personal preference and opinion and experience in the end, but for some reason the main story didn't really quote unquote click with me all that much. But don't get me wrong, like I just said, it was an amazing game, an amazing experience, an amazing soundtrack, an amazing world, an open world, and just amazing overall. So, I don't want it to make it seem like, I hated it or anything like that, because believe it or not, I didn't. It wouldn't be on my list otherwise. And I did play the Switch version, which had a lot of improvements and massive graphical improvements over the original version, obviously, which was on the Nintendo Wii. It would be hard not to have a massive improvement with it being on the Nintendo Switch, and ran pretty well for me overall. I don't know what it was. The side quests were really distracting too, so that's really good. And it was an overall great and fun experience for me, so it's not like I didn't enjoy it. I did, and I will admit the story did get pretty good and interesting and even funny at times. Riki is great. The characters are great. It's just an overall great experience. I just don't know what it was that really made me not click with it. One of the twists that came at the end was fantastic and came out of nowhere, and a character that you think is an ally is not, so that's kind of a thing that happens. I'm trying not to spoil it in case you want to try the game and the franchise for yourself, which I do obviously suggest you do. So I don't know what it was about the main story of the first game that didn't click with me, but you know what I did like? It's the one thing that is exclusive to the definitive edition on the Switch version of Xenoblade Chronicles, and that's the Extra Mode, or DLC if you want to refer to it as that, but it's really not DLC because it's on the game for free, and that's Future Connected. Oh my god. I don't know why. Again, here we go again. I don't know why I liked Future Connected so much, but God, I did. It was just so good. Maybe it was just because, it kind of showed everything and how the world is after everything that happened in the main story. Maybe that is why, but it is this weird situation where I like the mascot-like characters, the animal-like or furry-like characters that talk. I seem to really like those for some reason, Morgana from Persona 5, or, Teddy from Persona 4, and, characters like that, the Tales of franchise mascots, Bienfu from Berseria, and the other ones that I can't think of the name of right now from Zestiria, that stuff, and of course Riki from from Xenoblade Chronicles, and his two children that are your party members in Future Connected. Maybe that helped. I'm sure it did, obviously. But, I don't know. It was Future Connected was just fantastic overall, and I loved the hell out of Future Connected, and I wish I knew why. I really do, but for some reason I just did. Future Connected was just so much better for me than the main story of the main game for Xenoblade Chronicles. And again, I don't know why. But it is what it is, I suppose. It's still a fantastic game and a fantastic open world game and just a fantastic experience overall. I feel like overall special mention is still pretty decent for it. It's just unfortunate, I suppose, that I played a lot more better games that I had a lot better experience with, and that's why it's only an overall special mention. And to be even more completely and brutally honest with you, out of all those games that I listed, of the games that I played, really, there was nothing else that really stood out that deserved overall special mention. And that is kind of bad and good at the same time. It's good for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition because it ends up on my final list, but it's bad because it means that nothing else really stood out enough for it to, be on a sort of final list, so to speak. You see, this is kind of why I try to keep it to 4, because nothing else really stood out for me of everything that I played this year. So really, it's good that my final list for Game of the Year is only a list of 3 to 4, because nothing else really, quote-unquote stood out for me. But Xenoblade Chronicles is great. It's on my final list. Hopefully that's good enough. I'm sorry if I'm making it seem like I didn't like the game, because I did. There was just certain things in it that didn't click with me. But you don't have to worry, Xenoblade fans, okay? Don't start typing in all caps in the comments, okay? Because something else is going to be showing up here later that's going to be far higher, and I'm going to be giving far more praise for. But it gets overall special mention. I still feel that's pretty decent. So now we're to the true list, quote-unquote, the real list, quote-unquote, the list of 3. So once again, just like with Anime of the Year that I did previously, number 3 is something you have seen before, so which means I really won't be talking about it all that much, because I've said enough about it. The third best game that I played this year, number 3, is Tales of Grace's F. So, I've praised this game enough. The PlayStation 3 version, just so you know. Because that's, like I said, that's the one that I played. But like I said, I've praised this game more than enough. It's an unbelievably great game. Far better than even I was expecting. I didn't have a lot of expectations about it going into it, because I heard that the story was not good at all, but the gameplay was fantastic. I didn't see the problem with the story at first, like I said in my previous Game of the Year special award video. I actually thought the story was pretty goddamn good for at least the first 10 hours or so, or somewhere around there. But I will admit that eventually I did see what everyone was talking about, in the sense that once, it gets to a certain point, unfortunately the story kind of plateaus and doesn't get any better or any worse through the rest of the game, and it does kind of get repetitive, where you're basically doing the same thing again and again and again. But it didn't matter in any way whatsoever for this game, because the gameplay for this game is unbelievably fantastic and amazing. Again, like I said previously, I can't praise Tales of Grace's F battle system enough. It's pretty much similar to Tales of Berseria in the sense that it's pure chaos, and I freaking love it for it. So everything in terms of, a quote-unquote bad story is made up tenfold for it with the gameplay and the battle system, which I still honestly think and believe is the best Tales of gameplay and battle system I've come across and seen since Tales of Berseria, which is saying something. It's fantastic, it's extremely fun, it makes up for all the dull periods in the game. It's just great overall, and I love I love the hell out of it. And I just can't praise it more, and I'm trying not to cuss in order to praise it, but it's hard because it's just so good. It really is. I don't care that it's stuck on a quote-unquote out-of-date console like the PlayStation 3 and the Nintendo Wii. It's too good to let that hold it back, which is something else that's going to be happening later. But it's just fantastic overall. The characters are fine. They're great. This character is the best. It's probably the funniest character I've seen in the entire Tales of franchise, with the exception of one, which I will also be talking about later. But the game is great. The game is fantastic. The extra mode, which takes place after the story of the main game, just like with Future Connected does, and Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which I believe is PlayStation 3 exclusive, unless they port it, of course, and port that as well, is also really good and gives more backstory for Sophie, which is also great. So the characters are fine. They are what they are. It is what it is. I do kind of like that Bryce Papenbrook is the English voice actor of the main character. I mean, depends on if you like or hate him, I guess, since, you know, he is in a lot of things, and he does voice that character that people either love or hate, and that's known as Sword Art Online, which I'm not going to rant about, even though I could. But, you know, I still appreciate his work, and he did a good job, I feel like. So it's a great game. I do recommend it. I don't care that it's stuck on an out-of-date console. If you want to wait for it to be ported, I don't blame you. But there's no guarantee that will happen. I know they ported Tales of Symphonia, which I am also not really all that pleased with, because I would have preferred just a Tales of Symphonia Chronicles port, not a port of just the first game. But, you know, if you want to wait, that's fine. Just keep in mind there's no guarantee that they will port it. So if you still own a PlayStation 3, I do. It's sitting over to the right of me right now. I would definitely recommend picking it up. I know that physical versions are hard to find, but I bought it at a time a couple years ago, so it ended up being fine. If you don't like the price of the physical version, you can always buy it digitally, because the physical version of the Sly Cooper franchise was too much for me, so I just bought all the games digitally on the PlayStation 3 PlayStation Network store. And yes, it's a pain in the ass, to put it lightly, to put it extremely lightly, but it's worth it in the end, in my opinion. And when I did that with the Sly Cooper games, it was much cheaper than the physical version was, so that's definitely a method you can do if you don't like the price of the physical version. But I do recommend it. I hard recommend it, because it's too good to miss out on. So, but yes, it was the third best game that I played this year, mostly because of the battle system and the gameplay. So now it's finally time for the final two. Oh goody, what are the final two? Well, there's kind of a theme in this overall list. And that's the fact that everything in this list is all from the same franchise. That's the best hint I can give you. So, what is Game of the Year runner-up for me for 2022? The second best game that I played this year. Well, you know, I was going to say something, but I guess I'd better save it for later. For now, let's be slightly positive, I guess, technically speaking. Anime of the Year runner-up for me, personally, for 2022. Number 2, the second best game I played this year, is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. See, I told you, Xeno fans, so you can stop typing in all caps in the comments. I'm just kidding. I'm really not, but it is what it is. Yeah, this game, I don't want to cuss, but it is so goddamn good. I can't praise this game enough. And I will admit the game does have a bit of a slow-ish start, but good God, this game, once it gets started, it does not stop. Once the roller coaster starts and it gets to the best part of the roller coaster, so to speak, you're on the best part of the roller coaster for pretty much the entirety of the rest of your experience. Not the best metaphor, but it's the best thing I could come up with. This game is unbelievably amazing. And the worst part is, it's out of print for physical versions. I managed to get one in a very lucky situation. It's extremely hard to find physical versions of this game now. At this point, you might want to just buy it digitally, and trust me, I hate buying games digitally too. I'm the type of person that likes to have games in a physical case, a physical way, a physical cartridge, however you want to put it. But it's probably way too hard to find now at this point. You might get lucky. You can try if you want, but it's really hard. So if you want it, your best bet is unfortunately digitally. Either way, this game is fantastic. I can't praise it enough. It does start out slow, but but once it starts going, it really gets going. And look, I get that some of the stuff in this game, the gacha-like system and that stuff, and how some of the quests are done, and the fact that you need specific abilities from specific blades and that stuff. Look, I'll admit to you, it's extremely bad and extremely annoying. But you know what? I just don't care. I'm sorry, I just don't. The game's too fantastic. It's too great to let that hold it back. And even those quests, if you're like me, and you are OCD-ish in a way, you will put out the time to search out the blades and search out the abilities and grind the abilities for the quests. Doesn't really matter how long it might take you. And good God, the quests are so distracting. I probably spent more time on the quests than anything else. That's how great they are, and that's how distracting they are. And it always helps because it makes you over-leveled. But I like being over-leveled because it's way better than being under-leveled. So yes, the game is fantastic and just unbelievably amazing. Story is fantastic. It just does not stop. The characters are fantastic. Some shock reveals about the characters too, which is also fantastic. I know I'm saying a lot of things here that don't really mean all that much, but I just can't praise this game enough. And I get the maybe not liking the sort of anime-like art style and the anime-like antics when it comes to this specific game of the franchise, which does put people off. There are certain people who hate that stuff and certain people who like it. It didn't put me off, I could tell you that. Is it because I'm an anime watcher? Gee, I can't figure that out. It totally is, but I just didn't care. It's too fantastic. It's too great. I loved it way too goddamn much. I can't praise this game more. I really can't. The end of the game was fantastic. The soundtrack is amazing. It's just great overall, and I just can't praise it enough. I really can't. God. I played this game a little around February, and I looked forward to playing it every single time, and I would play it for way too long every single time. I couldn't get myself to stop. That's how good it freaking is and was. I hope I've gotten my point across. I think I have. I hope I have. It's too great, I'm sorry. Now, I will say, and here comes the negative, I know everyone praises the hell out of the DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I'm sorry, I personally didn't like it. The Xenoblade franchise is very weird for me, isn't it? I didn't like the main game of the first game, but I liked the extra mode that was on the Switch-only version. I loved the hell out of that, and it was the literal opposite for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I loved the hell out of the main game, but didn't really like the DLC. It was probably because the DLC focused on one of the main villains of the game, or at least the main villains for one of the main villains for the majority of the game. And don't get me wrong, backstory is great and all, but you're not gonna get me to like a villain. I'm sorry. I don't care what the circumstances are. I'm gonna hate a villain no matter what you show from the villain, or what you do with the villain, or why you try to explain what they do and why they do it. I'm gonna hate them no matter what you do. I'm sorry. So that probably was why I didn't like the DLC. That's just me personally, okay? I'm weird, if you haven't figured that out already. But, you know, it's not like I didn't enjoy it. It was very unique, I'll give it that, and had a lot of unique things in it. I'm willing to admit that much, and it was very interesting at times, and very unique, but, I don't know, I just didn't like the DLC overall, but that's just me. I liked the main game far better, but, you know, it's not like it ruined my experience. Maybe a little bit, but overall this game is unbelievably fantastic, and I cannot praise it enough. And that's really all I can say about this game. So now, here's the thing. Remember how I said that I started playing this game in February? Well, that's true, obviously. And here's the thing. For most of this year, pretty much all of this year, for the most part at least, this game was the favorite to win my overall game of the year for the majority of the year, and I'm not joking here. I'm really not. This was going to win my personal game of the year. It was. Until something happened. And it literally is that meme where, you know, where the thing goes like, I'm gonna win, I'm the best thing ever, and then the other thing comes in and goes, hold my beer. Or it goes like, you know, it's that meme where it's like, I'm about to ruin this person's whole career. That's pretty much literally the situation. This game came in, and poor Xenoblade Chronicles 2, it was my favorite to win Game of the Year. This game came in and went like, I'm about to ruin Xenoblade Chronicles 2, whole career. And here's the thing. The last time that I heard a lot about a certain game in this franchise, it turned out to be an utter disappointment for me. That wasn't the case this time. Not in the slightest. Not in any way whatsoever. Everyone was right. Believe it or not, I will admit when people are right. You have to, well, I'll save that for a little bit, and for here in a little bit, but everyone was right. Everyone was spot on right. And I'm sorry, I can't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't bring myself to let the fact that this goddamn game is stuck on not one, but two now, officially confirmed by Nintendo for March of next year, not one, but two out-of-date consoles. I'm sorry, I understand, okay? Out-of-date games being stuck on out-of-date consoles, if you want to hold them back due to that, I understand. Believe it or not, I do. But for me personally, I couldn't do it. I'm sorry, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't, in good conscience, let the fact that this unbelievably amazing game is stuck on an old, out-of-date console. Are you ready? The winner of Mega's Personal Game of the Year for 2022. Game of the Year 2022 for me personally is Tales of the Abyss. I am going to make one exception for cussing, and it is now. This game is fucking amazing. There is no low period in this game, in any way whatsoever, at all. Start is great, everything in it is great. The characters are fantastic. Look at this mascot. Look at it. If you don't think this is cute, I have no idea what the hell your definition of cute even is. I'd like to know. The cutest Tales of mascot in the entire franchise. Not even close. The best Tales of game in the entire franchise, including Berseria. It overcame Berseria in my Tales of list. Not even close. I do not care that this game is stuck on an old, out-of-date console. I'm sorry, I don't. I played the 3DS version, and is the graphics on the 3DS version shit? Kinda, yeah. I don't care. I'm sorry, I don't care. This game is fantastic. And look, I understand how annoying the main character is at the start. Believe me, I do. He is unbelievably annoying, and really the only word I can use to describe him at the start is a douchebag. He's a douchebag, okay? At the start. You have to deal with it, okay? Listen to what I am telling you right now. You have to deal with it. Once it gets to a certain part in this game, oh my god! Luc Fonfabre becomes the best Tales of character in the entire goddamn franchise. I am not kidding with you here. Oh my god, it's so good. The characterization in this game is unbelievable. Every single one of these characters has unbelievably good characterization throughout this entire game. They really do. Every single one of these characters, even the one character that is not even a playable character, although apparently they're playable when you play it a second time, even that character has amazing characterization in this game. Every single one of them has a shock reveal. And I'm not going to reveal what it is because you need to play this game. I don't care what console it's stuck on. It's too good to miss out on. It's too good to let shit like that hold it back. I'm sorry. Okay? Do you understand? Do you see how passionate I am about this game? Everyone was right. Everyone was right about this game. They really were. It's fantastic from start to finish. Just like with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Every time I played this game, I looked forward to it. I wanted to keep playing it. I did not want to stop. I mean, that was the case with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I played it for too long. Every time I played it, I would play it and my 3DS charge would get low, and I would go like, no! I'm sorry. It's too good. It is too good. The story is amazing. The world is amazing. The characters are amazing. Yes, the gameplay is old Tales of. I don't care. It's still amazing. It was fantastic. I loved it. I didn't struggle at all. Except for one of the optional bosses, but it's an optional boss, so who cares? This mascot is adorable. I'm sorry, I need to stop. Okay. I hope you get the point. I really do. I can't praise it enough. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. Maybe I'm an old man. That I'm sure. Yes, I'm an old man, okay? I'm in my 30s, and I'm an old man. Call me as such. For giving Game of the Year to a 3DS and PlayStation 2 game. They need to port this. They need to port this game. They do. They really do. There's no excuse. Bandai Namco are out of excuses at this point because Nintendo themselves announced that the 3DS eShop and effectively the 3DS itself is being shut down March of next year. There's no excuse. They need to port this game. If you're listening to me, Bandai Namco, which they aren't, they hate me. But you know, on the off chance, if you're listening to me right now, port this game. Do it. Port it right now. It's too good to be stuck on an old console. Port it. Ow. I hope you can tell now. There's no excuse. They're out of excuses. They need to port it. If you don't want to port it, do a remake. Why not? Although there's a shit ton of other Tales of games that are more deserving of a remake, I'm sure. Port it. That's the easy way. I am giving you a method to save money. Just port it. I will literally play it again. It's too good. It won my personal Game of the Year. It's the best Tales of game I've ever played in the entire franchise. It's the best JRPG I've played since probably Final Fantasy Typo HD. I mean, Nier Automata was good too, but I'm just saying. It's too good. Don't let it rot on an old console. This game is amazing. And I couldn't bring myself to let it being on an old console hold it back. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I'm sorry. You want to call me old-fashioned and call me an old man? Go right ahead. I don't care. Oh, God. Okay. I've been going on for too long again. I already know. Yeah, 40 minutes. I just had to... I have to beat it into your head how good this game is. I'm sorry. It's just too good. From start to finish. I know people said that the end game was kind of a lull, but it wasn't that way for me. Good from start to end. Great once he becomes the best Tales of character ever. He's pretty much my new favorite Tales of main character and probably my all-time favorite Tales of character, period. Yeah, he's gonna be... expect that as an avatar next year, for sure, for me. I'm sorry, it's just too good, it is, it really is. You have to play it. You just have to. Deal with him being a douchebag at the start. Once you get to the mining area, it has a really complicated name that I can't think of right now, but it's a mining area. You'll see. You will see. And you'll come back and go, Mega, you were right. Okay, I gotta stop. This has been going on for too long. Oh my god. That's it. That's my final list of my personal game of the year for 2022. Just as a quick recap, overall special mention goes to de facto number 4. Goes to Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition for Switch. The third best game that I played this year, number 3, goes to Tales of Graces F for PS3. Game of the Year runner-up, the second best game that I played this year, goes to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for Switch. And Game of the Year 2022, the best game that I played this year, because I couldn't bring myself not to do it. I don't care that it's stuck on an out-of-date console. It's Tales of the Abyss for 3DS. That's all. This was a pretty good game for me. A pretty good year for me for games. It always is. Games always pretty much prevent me from going insane. Figuratively and maybe literally. Not really literally, but... It's great when, you know, you can not do everything you can to not feel like you're gonna go crazy. Let's just leave it at that. But it was a great year for me for games. I don't care that I played a lot of old games. I don't. They were all great. So, I don't care. Sorry. A 3DS game has finally won my personal game of the year, and a Tales of game finally wins my personal game of the year. Congratulations, seriously. That's a great accomplishment for a franchise that I didn't think would ever take that. That's always been runner-up or number 3 or special mention or a special award. It finally did it. Congrats. You should be celebrating, because it's finally over. I'm finally done. Or am I? No, I am. I'm not done, because, you know, next up is going to be most anticipated for 2023. That's not going to be very long, I assure you. Not as long as this, that's for sure. It's just going to be me briefly talking about, you know, my most anticipated anime, my most anticipated game, and the most anticipated game that I'll hopefully or actually play. Those are two different categories because of how my backlog still is. And then, of course, I'm actually going to put out a video to let you know what my bold predictions for 2023 are. That'll be done next week, during the final week of the year. I have ranted for way too long, like, seriously. Almost 45 minutes. Somebody shut me up. That's it for my end of the year awards and my game of the year for 2022. We'll see what happens next year. I don't have any guesses for you. It's not going to be Final Fantasy 16, unfortunately. My backlog's too large. This is MegaChamp saying next time I'll be providing you with more unlimited guidance. You did it, Tales of. You finally did it. I don't care if it's an old game stuck on an old out-of-date console. You finally did it. And I couldn't be more proud. Because it's too good! I'm just gonna go now. See ya. Bye.